Wellness Rhythm Show. Find your rhythm. Live your wellness.
Y'all, real talk. What if I told you that the ingredient label on your favorite snack isn't just confusing? It's actually designed to be confusing.
Right. And here's the thing that genuinely stopped me mid-coffee this week. A landmark 2024 study published in the BMJ found that ultra-processed foods are now linked to over 30 distinct health outcomes. Everything from heart disease and type 2 diabetes to depression and early death.
30, that number sat with me, because we're not talking about eating a bag of crisps at a party. We're talking about what happens inside your cells when ultra-processed food becomes a regular part of your daily rhythm.
And that's exactly what we're exploring today. Not just processed food is bad, eat a salad. We're going cellular. What is ultra-processed food actually doing at the biological level? And what can a real person do about it?
So let's start with the basics, because I'll be honest. I used to think processed just meant like anything that came in a bag. Cheese crackers, granola bars, whatever.
Right, and that's a really common confusion. The framework most researchers use now is called the NOVA classification system, developed by Carlos Monteiro and his team at the University of Sao Paulo. It breaks food into 4 groups based on how much industrial processing has occurred.
And ultra-processed, NOVA Group 4, is the one we're worried about.
Exactly, these are products that go far beyond basic cooking or preservation. They contain ingredients you would never find in a home kitchen. Emulsifiers, artificial flavors, color stabilizers, modified starches, hydrogenated oils.
And if I'm being real, things like the flavored yogurts I used to grab for my kids' lunches, the ones marketed as made with real fruit, which I now read the label on and it's ingredient number 9.
Yes, that's the pattern. The real ingredient often appears quite far down the list, which tells you a lot about the actual composition.
So what is happening in the body? Because I think that's where people's eyes glaze over. It feels abstract.
Right, let's dig into this. The first thing worth knowing is what researchers call the gut microbiome disruption pathway. A 2021 study in Cell, one of the top-tier science journals, found that emulsifiers like carboxymethylcellulose and polysorbate 80, which are incredibly common in ultra-processed foods, actively degrade the mucus layer that lines your gut.
Wait, the gut has a mucus layer?
It does. Think of it as a protective barrier. When that barrier is compromised, bacteria that should stay in the gut can interact with the gut lining in ways that trigger chronic low-grade inflammation.
And chronic inflammation is the thread that runs through basically every major disease. I've heard that phrase so many times, but I don't think I ever connected it back to something as specific as an emulsifier.
That's precisely the mechanism researchers are excited, or rather alarmed, about. It's not just bad calories. These specific chemical additives appear to have direct biological effects independent of calories, sugar, or fat content.
Here's the thing, though. This is where I want to push back a little, because I think a lot of listeners are going to feel defensive, myself included. Ultra-processed food is cheap, it's fast, it is keeping a lot of families fed.
No, that's a completely fair challenge, and I don't want to gloss over it. The equity dimension of this is real. A 2023 analysis from the USDA found that ultra-processed foods account for nearly 58% of caloric intake in American households, and that proportion rises in lower-income households, partly because of cost and access.
So telling someone to just eat whole foods without acknowledging that barrier is, honestly, a little obnoxious.
Agreed. And this is where the nuance matters. The research isn't saying one serving of a processed food causes cellular damage, it's about frequency and dose. The studies showing the strongest harm are looking at diets where ultra-processed foods represent the majority of calories consumed, consistently over time.
Which for a lot of people is just Tuesday. No judgment.
Precisely. So let's talk about the cellular level a bit more, because there are a couple of other mechanisms that are genuinely striking. One is related to advanced glycation end products. AGEs, which are compounds formed when food is cooked at very high temperatures with lots of sugar and fat. Ultra-processed foods tend to have high age loads.
And AGEs do what exactly?
They essentially accelerate cellular aging. They bind to proteins in the body and make them stiffer and less functional. This affects blood vessels, skin, even brain tissue. Research published in the journal Aging has linked high dietary age intake to increased markers of oxidative stress at the cellular level.
So it's not just about weight or blood sugar. Your actual cells are aging faster.
That's what the evidence increasingly suggests. There's also emerging research from Harvard's T.H. Chan School of Public Health on ultra-processed food consumption and telomere length, telomeres being the protective caps on your DNA, showing an association between higher UPF intake and shorter telomeres.
which means what for the average listener?
Shorter telomeres are a biomarker for biological aging. It doesn't mean eating a Pop-Tart shaves a day off your life, but it's part of a picture of accelerated cellular wear.
Y'all, this is a lot. And I want to say, if you're feeling a little overwhelmed right now, that's valid. But here's what I want you to know. We are not going to leave you there.
Right. And if this is the kind of conversation that's useful to you, this is a good moment to hit like and subscribe. We do this every week. Real science, no lectures, just trying to help people make better sense of it all.
So let's talk practical, because here's where my own experience actually shifted things for me. I stopped thinking about it as cutting out processed food, which felt impossible, and started thinking about what I could add. Very similar to how I approached anti-inflammatory eating.
And the research actually supports that additive framing. A 2022 paper in Nutrients found that increasing dietary fiber from whole grains, legumes, vegetables can partially offset some of the microbiome disruption associated with ultra-processed food consumption.
So the walnuts I already snack on are doing some work, even if my dinner wasn't perfect.
Quite likely, yes. And this is something the NOVA researchers themselves emphasize. It's not about individual foods in isolation. It's about the overall dietary pattern.
Okay, but I want to address something I hear from a lot of parents in my orbit. And honestly, I've felt this too, which is label fatigue. You stand in the aisle and you're trying to remember what carboxymethylcellulose means while your kid is melting down.
Right, so here's a genuinely useful shortcut that food scientists often use. If there are more than 5 ingredients you don't recognize as actual food items, not spices, not salt, that's a reasonable signal that you're in ultra-processed territory.
I love that. 5 unrecognizable ingredients. That's actually something I can remember.
There's also a simpler version proposed by journalist and food author Michael Pollan, who's been making this case for years. Don't eat anything your great-grandmother wouldn't recognize as food. It's not scientific precision, but it's a reasonable heuristic.
Okay, but my great-grandmother also deep-fried everything in lard, so...
Fair point. Maybe a slightly younger great-grandmother.
Ha! But honestly, that's where I land on this. It's not about perfection, it's about pattern. What is your baseline? What does the majority of your week look like?
And for listeners in the sandwich generation, managing kids and aging parents, I want to acknowledge that convenience food is often the only thing making that schedule survivable. The goal isn't guilt, the goal is awareness plus 1 or 2 small levers.
1 lever, even 1. So if you're taking one thing from today, let it be this. The harm from ultra-processed food isn't just calories or sugar. It's specific chemical compounds interacting with your gut lining, your cellular aging, your DNA. And knowing that changes what one small swap actually means. Olive oil over margarine, walnuts over a flavored bar, it's not nothing. It genuinely matters at the cellular level.
Right. And the most honest takeaway I can offer is this. You don't need to overhaul your entire pantry this week. Just read one label you've never read before. That's enough for now.
Y'all, we appreciate you spending this time with us. If this episode made you think differently about even one thing in your kitchen, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you haven't already, please do hit like and subscribe. It genuinely helps us keep doing this.
Until next week, small steps, real science, no lectures.
Take care of yourselves. This show is part of the VoxCrea.ai system. If you want a show like this for your organization without building it yourself,
go to voxcrea.ai and request a sample episode.